Hey, did you see this? This is terrible.
Yeah. Grumpy cat.
He's dead. Wait, what? Grumpy Cat died? I was just talking about Kevin Durant's out. That's way worse.
You be all right?
Yeah. I'm going to be okay
It's been a long day.
Welcome to the sweat. Nowhere to go but up. It's Friday.
We hope.
We know you have better things to do, so we will do what we can to make this 1 hour joyride just cruise on by. He's Adam Kaufman. I'm an emotional Emerson Lotzia right
Stay
now.
with us at least through dinner here. And on the menu, you're going to find DK Sportsbook platter with NBA pick and roll, as well as showdown picks in both golf and NBA. But appetizer, that's our MLB panel at DK Live. Steve Buchanan, Greg Ehrenberg, and a newcomer to the program, James McCool. James, listen, I know you're a cat dad, so I'm sorry about Grumpy Cat.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bummer. My girlfriend was talking to me about it this morning, but that's kind of the thing about having an idol that's a cat. It's 15 years at most, you know.
Yeah, you got a shelf life there.
She was
It's like LeBron.
Yeah. She was only 7, but we're not going to dive any deeper into that. Rest easy, Grumpy Cat. But James, it is good to have you. You'll want nothing to do with us likely just by the end of this segment, which we're calling Price Check. So looking for the best value here. We've got tons to choose from thanks to a humongous 15-game slate. The top 3 price bats all play the outfield: Springer, Yelich, Trout. Since top price doesn't always mean best option, we've got a 2-part question. Pay attention here. First, who is the best spot among the 3? And second, do you like another option as your top bat? Steven, you go first.
Yeah, I'm going to go with George Springer here. I mean, honestly, when it comes to these 3 guys, there's no one I'm actually really crazy about of this group. But of the 3, I think I'm going to go with Springer. I mean, look, Rick Porcello has been pretty good against righties. I mean, overall, he's got a 292 WOBA, a 4.22 xFIP, and only 5 of his 8 home runs are allowed. But when you look at these 3 lineups overall, I mean, which team do you feel best about going off here? It's probably going to be Houston, especially at Fenway Park. I mean, and we've seen so many times this Red Sox bullpen and their relievers, cough up runs in bunches here. So if there's anybody I'm going to feel good about, it's going to be Springer.
I'm not sure he knows how to use quote fingers. Like
pretty good, air quotes. I mean, why not?
Well, like bullpen and relievers, those are real things.
Well, because the bullpen and relievers are supposed to do their job, and they're not doing their job. So you can't even call them relievers.
All right,
you two. It's early. Greg, what do you think? Who do you prefer out of those 3, or do you prefer someone else?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, if it's Mike Trout and anybody else, I'm just always going to default to Trout. He's the best player in baseball, and he's so good to the point that the expectations are so ridiculous. Somebody messaged me on Twitter earlier today and said, why is Trout having a bad season? He leads the American League in wins above replacement. He's second in WRC+. Like, he's just so ridiculous that people are like, why is Trout only doing this? He's the best player. If anybody versus Trout, it's just Trout to me. That's what I default to.
Okay, James, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, I like George Springer. I'm with Steve on this one. Porcello's been good for most of his career, but he's also been really bad this year, and he's giving up a lot of contact. He's worse against lefties, but this Astros team is just the best in the league right now. They're the hottest offense. I like George Springer the most out of those 3. Second choice would be Mike Trout because, it's Mike Trout. But first for me, it's going to be George Springer.
all right. Well, some big name Steve pitchers on the mound: DeGrom, Scherzer, Cole, just to name a few. But assuming that you're going to go big with one of those, you need some value, of course, on the bump. So is there anyone at 8K or less who you'd like to fill that pitching spot with?
Yeah, I don't mind Jeffrey Rodriguez here. I mean, anytime you can target a cheap pitcher going against the Orioles, it's probably worth considering. I mean, this is not someone that's going to go out there and get you 8 strikeouts or anything like that. So make sure your expectations are in check here. But, we started 4 games so far this season. His hard contact rate hasn't been too bad. It's only at 33% so far. And he's limited his walks, too. He's someone who's usually had shaky control, but only a 2.9 walks over 9 so far this season. But, I mean, if he can get you 15 to 17 DK fantasy points, you're in a really good spot here with the value there. But, there's a couple guys on the board there. Kelly from the Arizona Diamondbacks, I don't mind him either. But, there's definitely some guys here, especially at pitching, that you can fit in to go with some of those top-tier pitchers tonight.
All right, Jimmy. Can I call you Jimmy? We need a value pitcher.
You can't call me Jimmy, first off.
Stand your ground, James.
Yeah,
Don't fall for his crap.
No, there'll be a lot of it. It's just slings over and over.
Second off, I really like Jordan Lyles in this spot up against the Pirates. He's not a super great value, but I think that his strikeout rate is up this year, and he's going up against one of the best strikeout matchups on the slate. They have a 50.2% strikeout rate when they're in a 2 strikeout position. So going up against a weak lineup, he's probably going to give up one or two home runs, but I do think that the strikeout upside is real for this year, and I think that this is a really good matchup to exploit that.
Greg?
Yeah, so there's no pitcher that I really love that's on the cheap end, but I think there's a couple of guys that are kind of like boom bust type options that I could see having upside. One is Trevor Richards at home against the Mets. It's a pitching friendly environment. He's probably not going to get the win because he's going up against deGrom, but still the Mets have one of the lowest implied run totals on the slate. I think he makes sense. Aaron Sanchez also, his swing strike rate and his K rate have bounced back a little bit this year after he was down last year. White Sox, one of the higher strikeout rates against right-handed pitching. I don't think that Sanchez is particularly good, and I think he's a very risky option, but I think there's an opportunity for upside.
James, you gave us a value pitcher, so in the spirit of fairness here, why don't you reveal a value bat for tonight's slate?
Oh, man, value bat. I really, really like, David Fletcher. I'm going to go with David Fletcher hitting 9th for the Angels because even though he's hitting later in the lineup, he's still hitting really, really well. And I don't like to use cheaper guys that suck. So I prefer to take those guys that are in the back of the order that are going to have low ownership, that are kind of lower price, that I know can hit really well. So I'm going to go with David Fletcher.
All right, Steven, a value bat you like?
Yeah, I like Ryan O'Hearn a lot, 3,400. I mean, there's actually a lot of value, decent value on this slate, and you'd expect that with all 30 teams going. But O'Hearn's got some power, and he's in a good matchup to target against. He's going against Matt Harvey, who, as we all know, or at least you should know, and if you didn't know, now you know, is going against Matt Harvey, who can't get out lefty bats. I mean, O'Hearn has a 198 ISO against righties so far his season. His overall numbers aren't that pretty, but if you're just getting somebody on the cheap and want to get some power, I mean, O'Hearn is kind of one of those boomer bust, big fly type guys. So if you want to get some guys in that can help fit in some of more expensive bats or pitchers, I think O'Hearn is a way to do that over at first base.
All right, Greg, cap us off here.
Yeah, so I still have a soft spot for Matt Carpenter. He's only $4,000, not quite as cheap as the guys that these guys said, but still that's a lot cheaper of a price for Carpenter than we've usually seen from him. He's been a notoriously bad starter, hasn't got off to a great start this year, but really hitting in friendly environments tonight. Cardinals' highest run total on the slate. And still, Carpenter, I think it's just been a lot of bad luck. 239 BABIP, but he has a career low soft contact rate. And right around this time last year was when he kind of started to get going after a slow start. So I think he's going to start to pick up his offense.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to look at some MLB bets later on through the DK Sportsbook with you guys, so stay with us. We'll do that coming up.
What's up? I'm Tara Lanazak, and with your DraftKings Fantasy Flash. Well, we knew Golden State's Kevin Durant was not going to play in Game 2, but now the news is out that KD will miss Games 3 and 4 of the Western Conference Finals against the Portland Trail Blazers. Coach Steve Kerr said after the Warriors' Game 2 victory, hopefully he continues to progress, and he has made progress, but it's a little more serious than we thought at the very beginning. Durant was reevaluated Thursday before Golden State's victory. He is still not ready for on-court work and will be re-examined in another week. The Warriors haven't lost since Durant has been out with this injury and have won 27 of their last 28 games when he is out and Steph Curry is in. So, to my Warrior fans, it doesn't look like there's a need to worry here. But this veteran team will try to close out the Blazers ASAP and give Durant enough time to heal his strained calf before the NBA Finals begin May 30th.
Raptors Bucks Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight. We've got some betting questions we're looking to have answered by these two, Matt LaMarca of the Action Network and DFS analyst Adam Mancuda.
I've missed these guys. It's pick and roll time. We're going to give you 2 bets from the DK Sportsbook. Now, you pick one that you like and then roll off the one that you don't. It's really pretty easy. So, Matt, combined points, rebounds, assists, okay? You got to add them all up. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's plus 100 or over 46.5. Kawhi is plus 100 or under 43.5, okay? So which option do you like better here?
I'm going with the Kawhi under for 43.5. Listen, Kawhi has been fantastic all postseason, but this is just a brutal matchup for him against the Bucks. They were first in the league in defensive efficiency during the regular season. They held him to just 10 for 26 shooting from the field in Game 1. And what makes that even more alarming for me is that he was actually pretty good when he was guarded by Khris Middleton. He shot 53.8% against Middleton in game 1, who was his primary defender in that game. But Middleton was really one of the best defenders in the league against Kawhi during the regular season. He held him to 12.5 points per 100 possessions below his regular season average. So if we get some regression in that matchup tonight, if Kawhi, doesn't score at the same rate that he did in game 1, I think he's going to struggle to get back to that 30-point threshold. And Kawhi is still a guy who is going to need to get the majority of his statistics here through scoring for this prop. So I like the under here. I think that it's a touch too high, and I'm not going anywhere near Giannis in terms of an under. So give me Kawhi here.
All right, well, Adam, remember, Giannis plus 100 for over 46.5. He went for 40 in game 1, all right? And Kawhi plus 100 for the under 43.5 and was right around that as well. He came in at 42. So where do you fall on this?
Well, first, I want to thank you guys for having me back. Matt, I love the new look. I think it's really solid
Suave,
look.
Isn't it?
So let me kind of dive in here. I want to invest in both of these because I actually think they both will kind of hit. I like everything that Matt said about the Kawhi pick. Look, he's going to get the volume in terms of shots. He's going to have to make up a lot of those points from scoring. I think, look, he's going to be very desperate here to get a win on the road. They had it in their hands in game 1. It fell through their hands. Now they're going to want to get the win, get the home court advantage. So I actually think Kawhi, though, is going to go under because of the defensive factor. I think he's going to press a little bit. He's not going to get a lot of the assists, obviously, so I think he's going to go under. But I do like Giannis to have another monster game. I think they're going to come out a lot stronger than they did in game 1. I think Giannis is going to be the key there. I would expect the Raptors to key a little bit more on Lopez also, who obviously had that huge game. I know we'll talk about him shortly. I do think Giannis will probably touch 30 tonight, which means then you just have to get 16 combined rebounds and assists, or 16.5. I think that'll happen. He'll probably get double-digit boards, so between the 30, the 10 or 12 there, need a couple assists. I think both will hit. If I had to pick one, though, give me Giannis. I just think the Greek Freak is going to get off to a much better start with the Bucks in game 2 than game 1, carry them to another win tonight.
All right, Adam. Well, Kyle Lowry put up 30 points in game 1. Do you like him at minus 112 for over 14.5 points tonight? Or Brook Lopez, who went off for 29 in game 1. He's at plus 115 for under 10.5.
Yeah, I like Lopez's under 10.5 here. If you look at the last 5 games that Lopez has played, he's only gone over 10.5 once, and that was obviously the last game. Lowry's gone over 30 twice over 14.5 twice, obviously in the last 5 games. But Lowry's obviously a focal point of that offense, a lot more than Lopez is. I think the Raptors are going to make some adjustments on Lopez, not let him hit as many threes as he did. Look, there are so many other weapons that are keys on that Bucks team aside from Lopez. I just don't trust him to go over 10. So if I had to pick, it's Lopez under that 10.5 number.
Matt, pick one and roll off another.
Well, to be honest, Kyle Lowry under is one of my favorite props of the night. So
okay.
I'm going to be rolling off of his over and agreeing with Adam on the Brook Lopez under here. First of all, I like the plus odds. That's always enticing to me. And I think it's just a really good time to sell high on him. He shot the ball extremely well in that game. Prior to that, he was shooting just 27.9% from 3 during the postseason. And just from a volume perspective, there's no way he's getting up 21 shots again tonight. This is the first time all postseason that he was even above 13. So I would expect him to be, more in that 10 to 13 type range. And given a decrease in efficiency and volume, that's a good formula for posting an under here.
All right, well, I think I speak for Emerson when I say we do appreciate your honesty. Here is a player prop of putting up a double-double in tonight's game, okay? Khris Middleton did just that in game 1, 11 points, 11 boards. He is plus 475 to do it again. So you like him to pull off that feat, or would you look maybe at Toronto's Pascal Siakam, for instance, plus 385 to record a double-double? Matty.
Yeah, I'm going with Siakam here. Slightly worse odds, but I just think he's the much better rebounder. I mean, both of these guys should score 10-plus points. So it really comes down to which player do you feel more comfortable with in terms of getting the double-digit rebounds. And for me, Siakam is a much better rebounder than Middleton. Middleton just at 6.5 rebounds per game during the postseason. He has just 2 double-doubles in 10 postseason games. So the fact that he's even at his current odds is just based off the fact that he did it in his last game. I don't think he does it again tonight. I feel much more comfortable with Siakam's rebounding ability. We actually have his rebound prop graded as a 10 out of 10 over at the Fantasy Labs player prop tool. So I think that if I was going to invest in one of these double-double props, it would be Siakam.
Okay, Middleton or Siakam for a double-double, Mancoots. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't think either one's going to have a double-double tonight. If you look at their last 10 games, Middleton's done it twice. Siakam's done it once. What does that tell you? They're both probably not going to do it. But if I had to choose one, I agree with Matt. It's going to be Siakam. Much more opportunity. I don't think he'll play, a lot. I think they'll probably play similar minutes here, but I think Siakam's just going to get a lot more opportunity rebound. He's a better natural rebounder. Obviously, he's the focal point of the offense a little bit more than Middleton, in my opinion. So, he might have a chance to score a little bit more. That they'll both hit double digits there, but I think he's just more aggressive too. So, in terms of the rebounding, so give me Siakam. But again, I wouldn't invest in either of these two. I take my money and go back to that first question we had and invest both of those before I touch either one of these, unless I was just going to go complete bet against either one of them.
All right, good stuff, dudes. We're going to dive into the DFS side of tonight's game with you two coming up, talking showdown picks. But for now, it's Francesa Friday with this guy and Mike Francesa.
It's a good time.
I like talking about New York. The Knicks, they didn't land the top pick in the draft, so no Zion Williamson. Still, they got third, and that is good. I don't think it's a reason for, a total meltdown there. Who should they take? Is there one guy that you like in particular?
I think Barrett's the best player. I think he's going to be a very good player. Listen, it's all going to come down to one thing and one thing only. Can this regime, can they recruit premium talent, that's Durant type talent, to New York? I don't know if they can. If they can, they're going to get better quickly. If they have money for 2 max contracts, they are set up for that. If they can do that and not spend the money terribly and not settle for players, because that will be a disaster. If they settle for players, they'll be nowhere. You don't want to be in the middle of this league. You want to be getting ready to be good, or you want to be good. You don't want to be in the middle of the league. And the Knicks, I'm afraid, are positioned where they'll feel they have to do something. If they get turned down by the big guys and they settle, they'll be in the middle of the league forever.
Zion's stepdad said he's excited to play in New Orleans. So is there any chance, I know, you can believe it if you want to believe it, but is there any chance that his presence will convince Anthony Davis to drop that trade demand from the Pelicans and give this a try?
2 things that you got right away. You got 2 answers right away. One came out of New Orleans that Davis is being traded.
We're still at T70 right now.
Memphis was taking John Morant. That they were going to move Conley. Conley wants to play on a veteran team that can win, and they thank him for his service, and they are going to build their team around John Morant. And the people who are starting to say that Zion won't show up in New Orleans, he'll show up. Yeah. He won't do that. Because that doesn't work. It doesn't work to sit out the year. That will not be the way to do this. I know he's not happy. He'll go in there. Now, who knows how long he stays, but let's see if they can build a team around.
You think the Knicks will try and trade for Davis? I know they're going to try, but do you think they'll be successful, or is it going to be Lakers, Celtics, or somebody else?
I think it'll be the Celtics. I think the Celtics have the best package. I think they want him. I think the Celtics are ready to blow up their team. I think the Celtics by far have the best package. I think he'll be in Boston.
Warriors squeaked out another win without Kevin Durant last night. 27-1, actually, the last 28 games without KD, but with Steph Curry in. Any chance Golden State does not need Durant to win the title?
No, they need Durant to win the title. They could win the title this year. They could squeak out the series over what I think will be the Bucks in the final. But I think overall, if you want to be certain about things, they need Durant. They can win this series without him. And the reason why is people underrate how good Thompson, right through Green, Livingston, Iguodala, how good Loney, how good all those players are. They are terrific winning players. Plus, Curry plays better when he's there by himself. When he's the lead dog, he likes it better. He fools around too much, and he's too lackadaisical when he's not the lead dog. And since Durant's been there, he's played better. I like his whole force and his whole attitude on the court better when he's the guy by himself. But they need Durant.
So you're not a doctor, and HIPAA's not going to help us out with this one, but Steve Kerr said that Durant's injury is more serious than the Dubs thought. Has he played his last game for Golden State?
I can't tell you that for sure, but I would say that if you were a betting man, you'd say yes.
Interesting. And the question, of course, becomes where does he go next, right?
I think it's going to be – now, everyone tells me that he won't go with LeBron, so I'll take them at their word, although I know nothing about Durant. I think the Clippers will beat the Knicks out for him. I think that when they negotiate with their owner, and I know Doc Rivers very well, Doc Rivers is about as charming a guy as you can meet in that league, and he's great with players. When he gets in a room, if he wants the player, he usually gets them.
Yeah, I mean, even if he has to lock the door and won't let him out.
And he doesn't even have to. He's got a Doc Rivers has got a great personality. Players love him. If you spend an hour with Doc Rivers, you'd love him. He's just a wonderful guy. He really is.
Raptors Bucks. That's game 2. And what does Toronto need to do to even up this series, you think?
Toronto's got to really play at the top of their game. The Bucks don't. The Bucks can win this game where they go in. They basically stunk in that game, and they took 44 threes in that game. They were 11 for 44. They won a bad game. That's a bad sign. They don't have enough firepower. They need a huge series out of Iguodala to beat the Bucks. I thought that was the key from the start. Lowry played well. He played really well. You know their big man's going to play well. Leonard's going to play well. They need Iguodala. They don't have enough firepower. The Bucks have too much firepower, too much scoring, and too much freak, and that's why they'll win the series.
Back here on the Sweat, Reed T. Fowler in the Hizzy. I have questions. You have answers.
Let's go.
Hopefully. How low would you go is the name of the game here. So what is the latest round you would let the following NFL rookies fall before you absolutely have to scoop them up in your season-long league? Let's start with the number 1 overall pick, Kyler Murray. How late do you wait?
Right, QB, you never really go, I never go early with QBs, right? If you get Aaron Rodgers, the Andrew Lucks, these guys, you always have to draft them super early. So now you get a guy like Kyler Murray, all the fanfare that we saw taking number 1. Yep. Clearly, dual threat, he's got he's the ability to run, he's got the ability to pass. He's in this new offense now with Kingsbury, but you gotta wait. Patty Mahomes, he was quarterback 15, and look where he ended up. Dak Prescott, quarterback 22, and look where he ended up at QB 10. So I'm going to wait till about 12th round to see it. Obviously, if you're in a 2 QB league, you're taking them up early. But in a redraft, I got him around 12th round because, right, at QB 16 right now where I got him ranked, if he starts to get all of these yards where they have to come back in these garbage games, he's going to pan out a lot of fantasy.
He shouldn't be your first quarterback drafted, though, on your team, right? No. Okay, cool. Next up, running back Josh Jacobs with your Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a great spot for Josh Jacobs. Reason being is you're with the Raiders. Marshawn Lynch is gone. So now he comes into this role potentially as a 3-down back. He averaged 5 yards per carry at Alabama in his final season. 20 catches also in the final season. That's not what you want over the entire season, obviously, but he has the ability to be that 3-down back. The guys there, like Jalen Richard, DeAndre Washington, aren't going to be those feature backs. And again, when you look at that division and potentially looking at the Raiders and their tough schedule, they're going to be coming from behind. You get those pass yards, you hopefully get those touchdowns. He has the ability to be a 3-down back. So round number 5, got him in that RB2 spot. RB2, RB3 fringe right there, but round 5 or round 6 would be the latest I would wait.
All right, let's go with another skill position player here. The 32nd pick in the draft this year, that was N'Keal Harry. First wide receiver the Patriots have drafted in the first round since Belichick took over.
Yeah, so this one's tough. I'm probably going to wait way late for Harry. A reason being, look, we know that Gronk isn't there anymore. They have Gordon. They picked up Inman, right? They picked up Demaryius Thomas in free agencies. They still have Edelman. Yep. You have a lot of question marks at receiver here, and just a lot of question marks on how the Patriots use rookie players in general. We talked about it. Malcolm Mitchell was the last rookie that we've seen of late with the Patriots in 2016.
Yeah, he's no longer on the team.
Exactly. He averaged only about 4 targets or 3 targets per game over that 14-game span that he had in that season. 4 touchdowns total, but we just don't know, right? N'Keal Harry, great after the catch, around 500-plus yards in his final season in YAC, or yards after the catch. We just don't know how he's going to fare in New England. They're going to need him, right, because they don't have anyone there right now. So I got him around, 14th or 15th round. You're not really banking on those guys. He's probably your wide receiver 3 or 4. If a lot of guys get hurt and we see Brady have to air it out, N'Keal Harry could be a steal in those later rounds. So I'd say around 14.
It's always tough with the Patriots, too.
Yeah.
Deciding, which weapons Brady is going to prefer that week.
Exactly.
First tight end off the board, that was TJ Hawkinson, now in Detroit. Where do you pull the trigger on him?
Yeah, this is my favorite for fantasy purposes because, again, just like Jacobs, you take him in the first round. Hawkinson, you take him in the first round. These guys aren't going to sit, right? They're not going to sit. They're going to start. He's going to start game one. In terms of catchable targets in his final season, like around 51 catchable targets, he dropped one of those passes. And so you get a guy who can block really well. You get a guy who can catch extremely well. Detroit doesn't really have anyone. You have Kenny Golladay there. But you don't really necessarily have anyone in that spot. Look, we saw Eric Ebron when he was in Detroit, and we get a little scared with tight ends in Detroit, but we saw what he was able to do outside of being in that spot. But again, TJ Hawkinson clearly was and is the best prospect at tight end that we've seen probably in a while, and he could become one of the better tight ends. So I got him around round 4 or 5. If you look at what tight ends, if you can get a solid tight end in fantasy football like the Zach Ertz's, the Kelce's, that will put you up. If you can win that position week over week, tight end was a terrible position last year. When you had these top guys, Kelce and Ertz, performing week over week and beating that position and beating your opponent, Hawkinson can be that guy where you can nab at least 8 receptions or 5 receptions around that frame. And if you're a tight end who can get that many targets and that many receptions, that's a tight end 4 for me, so around 4th, 5th round.
It was such a top-heavy position in the league last year. Good stuff, Reed T. Fowler, but do me a favor. Hang tight because for now, live on Showtime Boxing, heavyweight champion Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder puts his undefeated record on the line against hard-hitting challenger Dominic Trouble Brazil in an explosive matchup between two knockout artists. Do not miss out on the action Saturday night, May 18th, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on Showtime.
Deontay Wilder wants to be king.
Enjoy this because it's gonna be a massacre.
It's been way too long. Wilder's here in the crowd. He knows I'm coming.
Step into the spotlight. And the crowd goes. And the crowd goes. And the crowd goes.
Wilder versus Brazil on Showtime.
Step into the spotlight.
7.
Maybe.
All right, guys, we're going to send you up now to the PME studios where Mr. Pat Mayo is standing by, sweating out the cut line right now for the PGA Championship.
Yeah, and it looks like the cut line has basically wrapped itself up. It's currently at +4, and it looks like it's going to stay at +4 unless something outrageous happens. Like the only thing that can really change it right now is if Julian Suri, Sung Jae Im, or Joaquin Niemann can birdie 2 of their next 3 holes and no one else drops back, and Tiger Woods has officially missed the cut. Could not chip it in on the 18th green. You'll be putting for par, but that's going to be no good for him. Let's talk a little bit of weekend golf, though, Jeff. Guys that you can have, if it was up to you, and the finishing points don't matter for weekend golf on DraftKings. It's just birdies, it's just bogeys. Brooks is the highest priced player at $10,800. Would you take him?
No.
You just think he might go play par golf?
Yeah, I think he's an incredibly intelligent golfer. He's going to play the golf course, maybe especially coming to Sunday. There are a couple guys I would be looking to.
All right, hit me.
Cantley Saturdays for one.
Cantley's at 92. I'd say the optimal. I wouldn't optimal. What do I know? I'm having a terrible week as it goes, but I'd say Dustin, EVR, and Cantley are the 3 guys that you do want to target.
Yeah, and what do we know? Cantley Saturdays is like Tiger Woods.
And Justin Rose is only $8,900. Woodland at 88 is a pretty good play too. The guy has yet to make a putt all week.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment, and I wouldn't mind Hideki Matsuyama, Pat. I don't think he's been in trouble a lot, and we see him usually lollygag his way through the first couple of days and have fantastic weekends.
So the move that I always like to do is just head over to fantasynational.com, become a member, obviously, click on the live stats, and then just start sorting. Just sort by strokes gained, ball striking, which is the summation of off the tee and approach, what you really want to have, and just look at who hasn't putted all that well this week. Second, in terms of ball striking for the week, Eric Van Rooyen. He is minus 1.4 strokes putting. Max Homa and Jason Kokrak are the big outliers, though. They've both made the cut. They're gaining almost 7 strokes ball striking. Max Homa's almost at 8 strokes tee to green, and they both lost over 4 strokes putting for the week. So if you have an opportunity to put those guys in, I believe they're Kokrak 79, so he'll end up on my team. Max Homa is 6,800, and Brooks makes another birdie. Wow.
Yeah, I might have ended the tournament. So get your showdown lineup.
Yeah, you got to get your showdown line. If you don't have Brooks,
something to cheer for, if you don't have Brooks outright tickets, even more reason to hammer those showdown lineups, Pat. And listen, I know he'll be an expensive player, but Rory going off early tomorrow, I think if you sleep in, you're going to wake up to like a crazy front nine.
You think so?
He's another guy that I feel like has putted for birdie all week and hasn't hit anything.
Rory is gaining strokes putting this week. He's been good off the tee. His approaches have just been god awful, and he hasn't been able to save himself from around the greens. So that's tough on his part.
Brooks Koepka doing what he did beside Tiger Woods. You can't put into words. You cannot put into words.
Is the new thing, like if you play with Brooks, you're screwed? That's what happened to Tiger. Oh, Tiger, nice par putt for +5. Not going to be good enough, pal. Luke List also made his par on 15, so he remains at -5. Still has a chance.
Yes, the race for second place, I guess, is on, Pat. And I guess for a couple golfers on the course, there is still a chance to have a prestigious final group pairing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know you'd have to stare down Brooks Koepka, but I feel like the guys that should feel like they could beat him or have a chance are the ones that, could stare him in the face and maybe have a couple birdie bogey swings, as unlikely as that feels, especially with a guy like Luke List.
Well, right now, if everything stays as it is, Koepka and Spieth would be the final pairing tomorrow.
Obnoxious.
And it would be Adam Scott and Matt Wallace, Daniel Berger, Luke List, Dustin Johnson, Kelly Kraft, Justin Rose, and Danny Lee. So of the top end guys, I mean, it's hard to take anything. Like when I talked about the strokes game ball striking, like Brooks is just destroying everyone in strokes game ball striking to the point where it doesn't even need to be sustainable anymore for him to win. So even if he has like a 71 tomorrow or a 69, it's a great day, but it's not going to win you the weekend kind of thing in terms of DraftKings or even in showdown. So those other guys the other guys I mentioned, I would look to Dustin, EVR, Kokrak, Hama, Cantlay, Justin Rose, Gary Woodland, some sort of mix of those guys. I guess we look like way down the list.
I would be looking at you again. I know he's on my full week lineups, but a guy like Hao Tong, his numbers from that like long iron range that you get so much of, that 4 iron that Bryson was crying about, Hao Tong flushes them.
Hao Tong's been okay. I'll give you that. Jimmy Walker is someone who is currently in the field, top 10 in ball striking for round 2. He had an incredible round today and lost over 3 strokes putting, and he is stuck around for the cut. So they're showing us the Luke List shots. Like
we wondered if we'd see it. We wondered if we'd see it. Good for them. At least they gave it to us. A guy that's been unconscious or very consistent, I should say. He has trouble making any putts, but Henrik Stenson, sort of like a forgotten player, just lollygagging along here, I think could have a solid weekend as well with the ball striking.
So if it's not Brooks, let's take Brooks out of the equation because we're going to start getting offerings even from like DK Playbook and the DK Sportsbook that we're going to have like bets without Brooks because Brooks is like a -400 favorite now.
All right, Mayo, thank you very much, buddy. You're doing the Lord's work over there. We appreciate it.
I miss you, Pat.
He's going to keep on going with that cut line show. He's got a lot to talk about, except we appreciate you staying with us for the next little while. Then you can revisit Mayo.
Indeed. Sticky puck time for now, though, buddy.
Let's do that.
While the Bruins are kicking it back home here in Boston, having already secured a spot in the Stanley Cup Final. San Jose and St. Louis taking the scenic route here. Game 4 tonight. We have Chris Wassel of Awesemo.com here to help us out.
All right, so it's NHL opening face-off, Chris. This is when you get to choose between top DK Sportsbook bets for the Western Conference Final Showdown. So, Logan Couture, he has been lights out really in the playoffs, not just this year, but for his entire career. But as for now, he is plus 155 to score a goal. In this game here tonight for the Blues, you got Vladimir Tarasenko. He scored his first goal of the series in Game 3, plus 143 to find the back of the net again. So which option do you like better?
Look, this is a fun one. Logan Couture has 14 goals through 17 games this playoff season. It's ridiculous. There's no words for it. Poor Vladimir Tarasenko, on the other hand, has just 1 goal in this series and has struggled to light the lamp. However, I will still go with Senor Tarasenko simply for the fact that he is getting scoring chances. They're just not going in. And they may look. Martin Jones can give up a yacker from anywhere. We saw that in the last game. I think he gave up 4 goals in the second period, and I don't think any one of them were particularly all that dangerous as far as chances. So if you just throw it on the net, Tarasenko just has better odds almost by default than Couture at this point.
Well, Blues winger David Perron has a point in every game of the series. He is minus 134 to pick up at least 1 point in 60 minutes this evening. But for San Jose, Tomas Hertl is also listed at minus 134 to record at least 1 point tonight, which would be his first in this series. So who are you going with?
It hurts, but David Perron is on one of those heaters right now that you cannot stay away from. Kind of like how certain players just get in a groove and they just keep on going. Perron has always been that type of player that can reel off 5, 6, and 7 game point streaks. It's just wiser at this point to go with the team that has been slighted. In St. Louis's case, everybody knows about the quote-unquote hand pass that resulted in something that may or may not have been reviewable at the time, depending on who you talk to. And St. Louis is going to come out rightfully pissed. And you expect guys like Perron, even O'Reilly, and of course Tarasenko to do well tonight.
Yeah, I don't care what Erik Karlsson or any of those guys say. That was unequivocally a hand pass. That definitely happened. Officials just missed it. But 2 of the league's top D-men going at it this series here, Chris. You got Alex Pietrangelo, Brent Burns. Pietrangelo, he is... let's see, plus 400 to light the lamp, while Burns is plus 390. Now, which one of these two is likely to find the score sheet here?
It's probably going to be Burns just because, look, he's one of those guys, generates a lot of shots, generates a good amount of blocks, has a great floor, hits the net more often. He has just that hard, mostly low to the ice shot that either creates rebounds or finds its way into the net. The interesting part is if this was, say, Brent Burns or Colton Parayko, you'd have a little bit more of an inkling towards lean to a guy like Parayko just because he has more of odds here to light the lamp, actually. I looked at his line real quick. It's way off from the other two, which means more dollars for me if I choose to piggyback on Burnsy. Try it at least. But for my money, it's always go with the more sure quantity, the guy that gets more volume on that. And out of these two, it's got to be Brent Burns.
All righty, Slate approved. I'm looking at the DFS side of this matchup, though, here, bud. So who's your lock in tonight's showdown slate?
As much as...
Oh, no, you did not.
I just did. I often wear my sunglasses this time of evening because it's finally springtime here, even in New Jersey. We've broken out of that horrible 40-degree weather that plagued us all week. It is still going to be Logan Couture, simply because who the heck is going to stop him? He goes on. Look, this might be the last game of his streak, to be honest, guys, for a little bit, just because the pattern's been 3 to 4 game streaks in these playoffs, and then he goes cold for a few. But it's ride or die with him at this point.
Man wears sunglasses at night.
Indeed he does. Looking exceptional.
I think that song came out about the same year as the television behind him. Chris, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your night. MLB Chase or Fade, and an early look at some of the NFL's rookie class. That's coming up.
Yep. Before that, we have a NASCAR price check right now with Pierce Dietrich.
Welcome to Price Check. I'm Pierce Dietrich. Let's look at the salaries for the All-Star race. Whose salary dropped this week? Everybody's. Eric Jones, $8,900 down to $6,700. Not only do we get funky All-Star pricing, but we get funky All-Stars. Eric Jones is not an All-Star. Ryan Newman, $7,800 down to $5,600. He won the All-Star race in 2002, back when they gave you $1 million and a carton of Winston's. Probably shouldn't have said that. Don't smoke, kids. Martin Truex Jr., 11,400 down to 9,500. In the 4 1.5 mile races this year, he's led a total of 14 laps. That's 14 out of the 1,197 laps. 1.1%. Jimmy Johnson, 8,300 down to 6,500. It is a scientific fact that the All-Star race winner has never had a beard. Mustache, yes. Goatee, yes, but never a beard. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 7,300 down to 5,500. He has to race his way in, but it's doable. He ran inside the top 10 all night at Kansas last weekend. Austin Dillon, 7,500 down to 5,800. Is he really an all-star? You know, in MLB, everybody gets an all-star. That's who Austin Dillon is. He's a middle reliever for the Miami Marlins. Favorite play of the week, Ryan Blaney, 8,100. He's got a fast car, but the problem is, over the course of 400 miles, something always goes wrong. Good news is, only 128 miles this weekend. Kevin Harvick, 9,800. He too is fast, but he lacks late race speed. There's no such thing as late race speed in an 85-lap race. All right, guys, check out the DK Playbook for your DFS information and needs. If you've got NASCAR questions, hit me up on Twitter at RaceForThePrize. I'm Pierce Dietrich. Catch me on DK Live.
Pierce, great work. All right, let's get to baseball. DK Live's Pierce.
Yep.
Great work. Okay, DK Live, Steve Buchanan, Greg Ehrenberg, and James McCool are back. Again, James, the new guy in the program, if you're tuning in late here. Chase or fade, fellas. We need to know if you agree or disagree with a whole bunch of different stuff that we're going to rattle off here regarding DK Sportsbook bets.
Cardinals and Rangers have a run total of 11.5. Texas scoring 16 of its own last time out, as in yesterday. So chase or fade, the over hits tonight. James.
I'm going to fade it. I understand that that's probably a contrarian approach here, but the reason why it has such a high total is because Adrian Sampson is supposed to be the long reliever for the Rangers. That being said, I think they're prepared to pull him after 1 or 2 innings pitched if things go badly, which they will. And then we get into the Rangers bullpen, and bullpen pitchers are always way better than the starting arms, especially better than Adrian Sampson. And on the other side, Miles Mikolas, he's bad, but the contact that he gives up isn't usually super great. The Rangers, they rely a lot on home runs to get their huge totals across. So I think the 11.5 is really, really high. I don't see a repeat of last night. I don't see 20 home runs being hit tonight, so I'm going to fade it.
Is fading it that contrarian in your opinion, Greg?
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with James here. I do think this is a really good game to target, especially for DFS. It should have a lot of scoring, but 11.5 is just a really high number. It's actually been trending down a little bit today. It's already down to 11. And I just think it's a little bit of an overreaction to what happened yesterday, where there was just a ton of runs scored, 17 runs by the Rangers. I think if they had it against the Rangers, I think if there weren't quite as many runs scored, the total would be a little bit lower today.
Steve, where are you going on this? Did my voice
Yeah,
just
I
crack?
think it's a fade as well.
Sure did, yeah.
You're so excited to talk to me. I understand. You know,
no, that definitely was not it.
At some point, it just happens. It just hits you all of a sudden.
Thank you.
Look, the Rangers bullpen are one of the worst. The Rangers bullpen are one of the worst in the league. I think we definitely know that. You know, Leclerc is the opener there. He's already blown 2 saves, giving up 11 runs through 15 innings. And the Rangers bullpen has a 4.78 FIP, which is the worst in the league. 22 home runs allowed. But one of the things you do have to consider, too, is that there's a wind blowing in 15 miles an hour, too. That could kill some of the balls that would potentially go over the fence. Now, look, Globe Life Park is one of the best parks, hitters parked altogether, so that's obviously a factor there, too. But 12 runs is a lot of runs, and it's not like, you know, these teams are offensive juggernauts either. So I think it's definitely going to be a high-scoring game, but 12 runs is a lot to come by.
Well, Jacob deGrom is on the mound for the Mets against the Marlins. Miami sucks. Losses in 10 out of 11. Really not good. So, Mets, they've outscored the Fish 36-15 on top of that in the 5 meetings this year. Chase or fade, a Mets money line and over 6.5 is a lock tonight, Greg.
Yeah, so this is a fade for me. If the number was a little bit longer than plus 175, I could get behind it. It's just really hard for me to trust the Marlins offense doing enough damage against DeGrom for the over to hit here. I mean, 6.5, if DeGrom pitches well, this could easily be a game where Miami scores 0-1 runs, which just kind of likely kills the over.
Dukes?
Yeah, I mean, this should be an absolute breeze for DeGrom. But, you know, like these guys have said, and like you've said, like the Marlins are absolutely pathetic at this point. Through the month of May, they've averaged 1.9 runs per game this month. I mean, it's just absolutely atrocious. And then, look, the Marlins bullpen isn't good either. So what you're essentially hoping for here is that the Mets get all the runs to hit the over. So let's just give the Marlins 2 runs, okay? Can we trust that the Mets are going to get 5 runs in this game to hit the over here? I don't know if that's something that I can trust at this point. The odds aren't bad. I mean, they're not terrible, plus 175, but it's definitely not a slam dunk. Like, is deGrom going to do well in this game? Yes, I think we can definitely put some stock into that. But for this to hit, both offenses have to do something here, and neither one of them are really crushing it at this point. So it's not bad, but it's definitely not one I'm looking to seek out and take.
How about you, Mr. McCool?
Yeah, I'm with these guys. I'm going to fade it. I respect Trevor Richards a little bit more than I think the rest of the community does. He's not terrible. A 4.83 Sierra is not the worst thing in the world. He does have a high home run per 9, but we're playing in a ballpark that suppresses so much offense. I just don't see the Mets, who are already mostly a weak offense outside of like Peter Alonso and the corpse of Robinson Cano. I just don't see the Mets scoring enough points to hit the over on their own. I don't see the Marlins really getting into deGrom, even if I do think that he gives up a couple runs here. Like, if the Marlins score 2 runs and the Mets score 3 runs, I think that's probably the most likely outcome here, and that's not 6.5.
Alex Bregman leads baseball with 9 dingers this month, and his Astros are at Fenway this evening. We know how much this guy hates seeing Boston win. He is
not his favorite thing. Yeah.
Not at all. Plus 525 to go deep tonight. So Rick Porcello, he's also on the mound. So chase your fade. We'll see a ginormous ding dong, Greg.
I'm going to chase this for the odds and also the other things that you said. I'm chasing all around here. I mean, if we look at Porcello this year, his ground ball rate is down to a career low. And you would think that would mean maybe he's giving up less home runs per fly ball, because generally fly ball pitchers don't go up high home run to fly ball rate, but not the case. Porcello, more fly balls, higher home run to fly ball rate. And the other thing also, as we said, Bregman's hitting the ball really well, and the wind's blowing out a little bit at Fenway tonight, so it's a really offensive-friendly environment. So for the odds, I think it's a good number for Bregman.
James, tater time?
Not for Bregman, no. I think that Porcello, he has food.
Got his gut here.
Porcello's way better against right-handed hitters than he is against lefties. I do think that he gives up a home run for the reasons that Greg mentioned. I think that the Astros are actually going to put up a lot of runs here. But I don't think that it's going to come from Bregman. I think it's going to come from somebody like Brantley or Reddick or one of these lefties that are going to get to him once or twice. But I'll fade Bregman, especially at the number.
Steve, does Slick Rick shut him down?
Okay. I just wanted to see where that was going.
I almost said like
he got there. He got there.
I can roll with it. You keep going, baby. I mean, look, Bregman's got a ridiculous 438 isolated power on the road against righties this year. Really good condition for home runs tonight. And, we can say that Rick Porcello has pitched okay this year. I mean, he really started off the year slow. But even just going back to his numbers last year, he did not do well at Fenway Park. Gave up a ton of home runs at Fenway Park. So I think this is definitely an opportunity where the Astros can take advantage of that. And for the odds that you're getting, even if you throw like 10, 15 bucks on him, I mean, you're getting a huge return on your investment if Bregman parks one. And look, he's one of the best in the league right now. I think he's currently still tied for second in the American League with home runs. So, I mean, you're getting one of the best odds with one of the best hitters in baseball right now. So, yeah, absolutely. I'll chase that.
All right, we're just about the end of the segment here, guys. Remember, you can play MLB on the DK Sportsbook. You got loads of DFS contests available to you as well. So all sorts of different things that you can consider. But we need slate-approved picks for this 15-game slate. James, again, you're new. It's your first show with us, so why don't you lead us off?
Well, I don't know, man. I think that my favorite pick today is going to be Gerrit Cole. I respect the Red Sox for sure, but I think that he has the highest strikeout rate on the slate, and anything that you can take in terms of, bets or putting him in your DFS lineups or anything like that, I think he's going to strike out 8 to 10 Red Sox players tonight. I think he's going to be the top player on the slate. As far as a pick that I really like at batter, I like Yandy Diaz a lot. CC Sabathia has been giving up a lot of home runs, and he's slipping in his career. He's not throwing the fastball as much, but those pitches that he's thrown down that are kind of having a little bit of downward movement are falling from the top of the zone straight into a bat and going right over the fence. So Yandy Diaz is one of my favorite plays on the slate. I think that he's a great value in anything you can find in that, and those would be my 2 favorite plays on the slate.
It's a great T-shirt. I really like that. Greg, you've got the build of a number 2 hitter. What do you think?
Oh, I like that. I feel like I'm more of a number 9 hitter, if we're really being honest here. But...
Well, I'm picking with what I've got here.
So Jacob deGrom, I think that for cash games, he's about as safe as anybody could be on this slate. Pitching's been really high variance this year. deGrom got off to a bad start. He's picked it up a lot more recently, and just such an easy matchup in Miami. Bad offense, pitcher-friendly park.
Bukes, take us home.
Diamondbacks are going to be a stack that's going to go extremely overlooked tonight, but I think they're in just as good a spot as any of these other teams against Jeff Samardzija, so don't sleep on the Diamondbacks.
Terrific. Very, very good.
All right, guys, appreciate it. Go enjoy Friday night. Do whatever it is you do on a Friday night.
Keep an eye out for those ding-dongs.
Let's go to the link, shall we?
I think it's probably a
No
good
easy
idea.
segue here.
Nope.
DK Live's Reed Fowler. He is in studio with us. And just like Brooks Koepka, I am told he went out and ripped some reps before the show. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, I'm like a number 4 batter, I guess, in a lineup.
No, you're just fourth in line.
Okay.
All right, let's look at the weekend at the PGA Championship here. We got multiple options over 9,500. That includes Brooks Koepka, who's got a ginormous lead right now. DJ Tiger's not going to make the weekend. Tommy Fleetwood. And then a man who shares your surname but goes by Ricky. Who do you like the most?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's playing for second at this point, right? I mean, Brooks is out pretty far. I think he's 7 in the lead right now. But, I mean, DJ is the guy that I'm looking at for weekend golf. He's at that 10-3, so it's not extremely expensive. You're going to have to, we're going to have to roster someone who can get birdies, right? You have to chase. Everyone's going to be chasing Brooks Koepka. And just if you look at Dustin Johnson, who has been able to do, especially this round, it's ball striking. He was top 10 in ball striking. His putting came back down to earth a little bit, and he got birdies. He rattled off a couple of those birdie streaks, and he's going to be able to get the ball out there. Look, you're going to have to score on the weekend. Guys are probably playing for second, so give me DJ and then Ricky in a close second.
I don't think there's even a probably, man. I mean, Koepka would really have to melt down. Guy talks the talk, but he walks it. He has a 7-stroke lead at 12 under.
That is a 36-hole scoring record in a major.
That's pretty
Guy
impressive.
does his homework.
Well, obviously,
Well, I have Twitter.
Those early morning gym sessions. All right, so how about a couple of guys who could make a run up the leaderboard this weekend as those, as you said, Reed, play for second?
Well, as I was writing my notes, J.B. Holmes was someone that I had there, but it doesn't
you
look
were
like.
upset with him.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to miss the cut as well. It's a tough course. But Patrick Cantlay is a guy that I talked about earlier in the week that I really liked. He's right there, right? Round 1, he only had a couple bogeys. Round 2, he only had 1 bogey. And so he's not losing a ton of strokes, not gaining a ton, but he's right there at -1, -2. Again, ball striking was elite again today, but just he couldn't get a putter going. He gained close to 6 strokes putting, or excuse me, 6 strokes through ball striking and only about 0.1 or 0.2 through putting. That's not going to do it. Weekend golf, you're going to need someone like that. So Patrick Cantlay for one, and then Justin Rose would be my second guy as well.
Anyone you're definitely fading at Bethpage?
Yeah, it's going to be Jordan Spieth. Again, we saw him, right? This is finally. Everyone thinks that
He's
now
back.
the Jordan Spieth of 2015 is back. And he actually mentioned it earlier in his presser this week that it's unfair to really compare what he's been able to do in 2015, or what he did in 2015 to, again, what he's not achieving over the last 2 years. And it's because he's been successful in 2015, yada, yada, yada. But if you look at what his stats, and you look closer at his stats, the guy gained close to 8 strokes putting, or 7 strokes putting over the first 2 rounds, and just couldn't get the ball striking going. That's probably going to switch, right? It can easily switch from day to day. It's the irons and off the tee that you want to be solidified. Jordan Spieth, again, he's right up there, and he's probably going to be playing with Brooks if nothing is changed in terms of that grouping, and that's going to be tough sledding. So Jordan Spieth, and then Bronson Burgoon, another guy who we saw down in the 6K range, get a ton of birdies. He shot a 66 today, -4, which is a pretty good feat on this course today.
Dang.
But I know, I mean, putting, again, he gained it through a lot of putting, ball striking, not so much. So Bronson Burgoon fading.
Again, Jordan Spieth, Adam Scott, and currently Luke List, though he's still got a couple of holes left. But those guys,
Oryx, man.
Yeah, even for second place right now at 5 under. But again, that's 7 strokes back. So, Reed, we need a slate-approved pick. Your lock for the weekend showdown contest at the PGA.
Yeah, it's going to be Justin Rose, $8,900. So, again, that's a reasonable price there. And you want someone on the weekend, right, who, again, if they're all playing for second place, you're going to want someone who stays away from the big numbers, who has a good scoring average on the weekends, a guy who's major tested. So, give me Justin Rose. Again, ball striking was fantastic. Putting exactly wasn't there. But we've seen Justin Rose make the cut at the U.S. Open or make the cut at these major tournaments on the number and then come runner-up come Sunday. So give me Justin Rose.
Thanks for being you, Reed.
Thanks, buddy.
We really appreciate it. NBA Showdown picks are next.
Hey, it's Brendan Glasheen, and with his DraftKings Fantasy Flash, Patrick Peterson is definitely sorry. The Cardinals cornerback uttered those exact words after the NFL announced he would be suspended for 6 games due to violating the league's performance-enhancing drug policy. Typically, getting popped for PEDs warrants a 4-game ban, but a 6-gamer stems from a positive test plus an attempt to mask the result. A masking agent, as NFL Network's Ian Rappaport puts it. The news surfaced on the same day as Peterson's celebrity golf tournament in Scottsdale. He mentioned his relationship with the Cards is great. This is the same player who wanted to trade out of the desert during the 2018 season. New head coach Cliff Kingsbury probably went into his first offseason thinking, oh, the 28-year-old Peterson can patrol the defense, be our anchor, while he can focus on the development of Kyler Murray and the offense. Now, I'm not sure if Kingsbury wants to be part of Peterson at all at this stage. Arizona's first 6 games aren't a cakewalk, the Cardinals, but it's not overly difficult. First 6 quarterbacks they face: Matt Stafford, Lamar Jackson, maybe at best a recovering Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Andy Dalton, Matt Ryan. That's manageable without Patrick Peterson. Wouldn't be surprised he's dealt soon. Wherever he's playing, Peterson will be eligible to suit up in Week 7.
Well, time is flying right by.
Yeah,
NBA dudes are back. Action Network's Matt LaMarca and DFS analyst Adam Mancuda. Guys, appreciate you sticking with us. Raptors, Bucks, again, Game 2 tonight. Toronto looking to even up this series, but really, we don't care who wins. We care about who's going to perform well in the showdown contest. So here's your captain pick, Adam.
I'm actually going to go with Khris Middleton here. I think that the Bucks are going to get off to a much better start tonight than they did the other night. Giannis obviously is priced extremely high. I think Middleton's the guy that's going to step up here and really take off in the first quarter and get this game started. I love him on the defensive end. I think he'll pick up some stats there, obviously guarding the Raptors' top players who are going to have the ball. So give me Middleton to kind of jump off here. I know a lot of people are going to obviously go with Giannis or Kawhi potentially. So I'll take Middleton here, who I think will get off to a good start, as I mentioned earlier tonight.
LaMarca, your captain.
Yeah, definitely not Khris Middleton. I want no part of him,
unless he's playing the Celtics,
defending him for most of this game. I'm also going with a little bit of a cheaper route. I'm going Marc Gasol. He is only 8,700 if you want to captain him. That allows you to fit Kawhi and Giannis in your lineup pretty easily after that. And you certainly need both of those players in your lineup tonight. Like, if you're building a lineup without Kawhi and Giannis, you're not doing the showdown format correctly. So Gasol lets you do that and not have to sacrifice too much in terms of, the value plays for the rest of your lineup. So he's where I'm looking at. He played 40 minutes in Game 1. Good matchup against Brook Lopez, who, despite, a really big Game 1 performance, is not a good defender. So I like Gasol here. I think he's the best value on the board tonight.
Okay, well, my next question was going to be any value here, but you just answered that. Adam, rather. Who do you like for value?
Go with either one.
I like Pat Connaughton here tonight. Look, the price is right. The guy, not the TV show. Obviously, he didn't play a lot of minutes in Game 1, but before that, he hadn't played under 28 minutes in a while, last 5 games or so. If he's on the court, he's going to provide value, get a couple boards, couple assists, couple points here and there. For the price, sneak him into your lineup. You can pay off, and obviously, you're not wasting a big salary if you go in a different direction, if you just select Compton here. He always was a tough defender at Notre Dame, so why not insert him here, see what he could do.
Matt, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, me and Adam are on way different pages tonight.
Good.
That's all right.
No interest in Pat Connaughton. All his production came when Brogdon was out of the lineup. Now that Brogdon is back, he is back to being a 10 to 12 minute a night type of guy. I love George Hill at 3,400. That's the value play on the Bucks you should be targeting.
Who do you think is going to win this game, boys? I said we don't care, but I kind of care. Matt?
As someone who holds a lot of Milwaukee Bucks futures, I am taking the Bucks to go up 2-0 in the series.
How about you,
Don't
man?
sound biased at all.
Yeah.
Well, after all that love from LaMarca in this segment, I'm tempted to just go root for the Raptors, throw my old Damon Stoudemire jersey on here. But
whatever you want, brother.
I do think the Bucks are going to come out hot tonight. I think they get the win at home. Go back to Toronto with the Raptors down 0-2.
Interesting. Something to keep an eye on. All
Okay,
right.
guys, we appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
Have
great.
A good night. You ready?
Enjoy.
Me?
Ready to call it a day?
It's a Friday, man. I think we call it a week.
Okay, that is a much better idea. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're going to be back on Monday night. 6 o'clock Eastern time. Enjoy the golf. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the good times this weekend.
Bye.